G'day folks, my name is Sean and this is Air Photography. Today we're just going to do a quick unboxing of the new DJI Air 2S. This new version of the Air 2 was launched yesterday with some pretty big enhancements. It now comes with a 1-inch sensor, OcuSync 3.0, which is what DJI is now referring to as O3, and as you can see there, it comes with some new upward-facing sensors. There are many other new enhancements and improvements, and we'll kind of talk about them as we go along. I know there's already a ton of unboxings out there on YouTube, but when we get a new release like this, I always like to start out with an unboxing, and then I'll get into more detailed tutorials and reviews. So anyways, with all that said, let's just jump right in and take a look. So as mentioned, this was launched officially by DJI yesterday. And chances are, if you're into drones, you've probably seen a lot about this drone already, as there was quite a few leaks leading up to the launch event. So what I have here is the Fly More combo. So that's what we're going to be unboxing today. If you're not quite sure what the difference is between the base kit and the Fly More combo, basically with the Fly More combo you get a few extra accessories. You get a case, some extra batteries, ND filters, and I think some extra propellers. So it is well worth the money for what you're getting. Now the unboxing is not going to be much different than the original Mavic Air 2. Some of the accessories have changed, but the drone is pretty well identical with its cosmetic appearance. So we'll just go ahead and we'll pull everything out and take a look at things. So we'll start out with the bag here, and it looks pretty well identical to the original Mavic Air 2. We have the drone here, and we'll take a closer look at that here in a minute. You can see right away the new optical sensors there on the front. We have the charging hub. We have the controller, and it is identical to the one that comes with the original Mavic Air 2, except with some minor cosmetic changes. Mainly the graphics on the front. You can see here it now says Cine mode instead of tripod mode, and we have a symbol for a pause button. Also, the LED lights are now green instead of white. And other than that, the remote is exactly the same, except of course it supports OcuSync 3.0. We have another box here. Let's go ahead and we'll open it up. You can see here we have a power cable for the power brick, and here's the power brick here. And this little accessory here basically turns your batteries into a power bank. And then of course, we have our 2 spare batteries. Now, if you're curious, these are identical to the ones that came with the original Mavic Air 2. So if you're going to be upgrading and you've loaded up on batteries, all the batteries you do have for the original Mavic Air 2 will work with the DJI Air 2S. So over here we got some more accessories, and we have our user guide, quick start guide I should say. So we've got some more literature here, accessory guide. We have all our propellers, and it looks like you get more this year. I can't remember what came with the original Mavic Air 2, but it looks like we have 3 complete sets. I thought we only got 2 complete sets with the original Mavic Air, but that's kind of nice. So anyways, 3 complete sets of props. We have a set of ND filters, and this is something that's different this year. You can see here, this year we're getting 4. Last year with the original Mavic Air 2, we only got 3, but they're actually giving you more usable filters. With the original Mavic Air 2 kit, they gave us an ND16 and then some weird odd numbers like a 64 and a 256 or something like that. Those higher ones, 64 and 256, are not something you're going to be really using on a regular basis. They're more for long exposure photography. So if you needed the really important ones like an ND4, ND32, you had to go ahead and buy their other set that they sold separately. But now they actually give you a usable set of ND filters, so that's actually nice, a nice change that they've done there. We have a USB-C cable here for connecting your drone to a computer, but also for charging up the remote. We have 1 spare set of control sticks. And then lastly here we have some connectors for the controller. By default, one for an iPhone is built into it, but if you use a phone that has USB-C or perhaps an older Android device that has micro USB, you would just swap it out with one of these cables. So I've got all the stickers off, and we're going to go ahead and power up the drone and the controller for the first time. We're going to activate the drone, and we're going to update the firmware. Whenever you purchase a new drone like this, there's always going to be firmware on day 1. Now I'm actually going to use a battery from my original Mavic Air 2 because the batteries that came with this kit aren't charged and they're not activated yet. So we're just going to use one of the original Mavic Air 2 batteries. As mentioned, they are identical. They're exactly the same. So we'll go ahead and we'll get that installed. We will get our phone mounted. And it's also very important, if you are coming from the Mavic Air 2, make sure you update your Fly app, because they did release an update a day or 2 ago to make it compatible with the Air 2S. So let's go ahead and we'll power everything on here. May get a little bit noisy because the fan will probably kick in on the drone, so just bear with me. Power on the controller. Hopefully there's enough power in there to get it updated. I may actually go ahead and plug it in. Just to be safe, I am going to give it some power just so it doesn't die while we're updating. Okay, you can see we're at the activation screen, so we're going to hit agree, and we will click on the activate. So now it's restarting the aircraft. So you can see there we've got an activation successful message, so hit done there. It's giving us some information about the DJI Care refresh, but I'm going to close that because I don't really want to purchase that at this point. And there we go there. We can see the Mavic Air 2S on the screen, and you can see there indeed there is some firmware that needs to be updated. So let's click on update, and you can see there it tells us what has been added since the firmware that was shipped with the drone. You can see it's added master shots, added DJI Air Sense, added Pro mode for photo mode, added APAS 4.0, and a few other things there as well. It also states there that it added support for the DJI Smart Controller. So we'll just go ahead and we'll let that update. It can take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, so I'll probably fast forward through this part. The update there is still installing, but I do want to mention a few things. I did kind of forget that step there when we started. If this is your first drone, if you don't have any DJI drones that used the Fly app in the past, you will need to download the DJI Fly app. You can download it from the Apple App Store, and I do believe from the Google Play Store. If not, you can download it directly from the DJI website. If you are putting a brand new installation of the DJI Fly app in, and you don't have a DJI account, you will have to create one in order to activate. And it's very important before you fly it for the first time, make sure you do get that firmware update. Not only does it add all those extra features, but quite often they also add different fixes and improvements with the flight characteristics. Now, the other thing I do want to mention at this point is if you purchase the Fly More combo, these batteries are considered intelligent flight batteries. That means they have firmware as well. So quite often when you get a firmware update, the firmware on the additional spare batteries need to be updated as well. So it's as simple as once everything is done, power off the drone, insert the new battery, power it back on. If there is indeed new firmware for the battery, you'll get a message on the screen prompting you to update the battery's firmware, and then just repeat that step for every battery that you own. Now, another little tidbit of information here while we're waiting for the firmware to finish updating. When you purchase the drone, it does not come with any kind of memory. The drone itself has 8 gigabytes of memory of internal storage, but it's a good idea to pick up a memory card because that 8 gigabytes will fill up super quick. You can use cards up to 256 gigabyte. Just make sure you get a modern, fast card. There is a list of compatible cards on the DJI website, and I'll include a link down below to the cards that I like to use. So it looks like we're all done there. We can actually just launch the Fly app, and we are ready to fly. Now, I'm not going to go over all the changes in the app. I'm going to save that for a separate video, but definitely there are a lot of changes and we're going to cover all of that. Now, before we go here, I'm just going to show you how to install the propellers, because perhaps you're watching this video because you've just ordered it and this is going to be your very first drone. Basically, with all the propellers that came, there's 2 types. You can see these ones over here have this orange circle there in the middle, and these ones over here are just black. These 2 are identical, and these 2 are identical. And the way to install them is you're just going to match up the orange to the orange paint on the motors. So you can see we have orange here and here, and we have black here and here. There's little grooves there that you're just going to push the propeller into, twist, and it's going to lock in. So we'll do the other orange one over here, black one down here. You can see all the propellers have this orange paint on the tips. That's basically just for safety. Now, if you're watching this video because you've just purchased this drone or you plan on purchasing this drone and it's going to be your very first one and you just wanted to learn a little bit more about it, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, as I will be covering this drone a lot in detail in the next couple weeks, doing different tutorials and walkthroughs. And that includes my beginner's guide. Every time DJI releases a new drone, I always create a very thorough, in-depth beginner's guide going over everything, right from unpacking it, setting everything up, all the different flight modes. We explain everything in detail. Well, folks, that's basically it for my video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.